Hey everybody, this is Talkative Carl back again for another Halloween movie spoiler review. And today I'll be covering, honestly, probably you can argue it's a cult classic, but say it's just classic in general. Queen of the Dam, starring, God, everybody's beloved R.I.P. Aaliyah, playing probably honestly her most iconic character to this day. And to this day, there's find tons of girls dressed like this on Halloween. Akasha. And man, like when I saw this woman was like a banger. Oh my god, it's just like hot peak hotness of Aaliyah. Oh my goodness. To this day, man, and honestly the most lethal, one of the most lethal vampires, honestly up there with Dracula in terms of like lethality. um a lot of this story is based off the Anne Rice books. A lot of characters here are based off the Anne Rice books, as well as Interview with the Vampire, which is going to be the next one I'll be reviewing pretty soon. But we got Stuart Townsend as Lestat, Alias Akasha, Marguerite Moreau as Jesse, Paul McGann as David Talbot, Lena Olin as Maharet, Christian Manon as Mel, Claudia Black Pandora, Vincent Perez as Marius. Now we, of course, we have like an opening narration with Lestat, and he for a while has been in this coffin and is awakened by the sound of hard rock music. Now this entire movie is pretty much like a long MTV music video, honestly. Now I'm not the biggest hard rock fan. There's mainly a couple that I actually dig, but the music in this film is very good. Especially the song that plays when Akasha enters this vampire club for the first time, when you see her for the first time in all her glory. That music, I can listen to like all day every day. Is very good. I recommend you guys go on YouTube, check out the songs, the soundtrack of Queen of the Dam. You would not regret it. It's very, very good. Basically, Lestat has like like a kinship to music. See him in like his past, he's drawn to it. Even like has like his own personal violin that he kept with him throughout ages. He even was buried with it. But he, once awakened, he follows the sound towards this apartment where these young kids who's try to break into the music business with their music, and he introduces himself to them. He can shows off his singing skills and decide to form a band, which for a long while they become like musical sensations. And he's very flippant about just pretty much outing himself as a vampire. Now of course, aside from his bandmates and his I think maybe his manager, no, probably not his manager, but besides from his bandmates and other vampires, the world over just assume this is some kind of gimmick, like those very eccentric kind of musicians. But even to the point where he's like, oh, he doesn't appear during the day, and he's very like, he only does like video appearances and stuff like that. but he's upsetting the vampire community because they have this like strict code about not revealing themselves, always remain in the shadows, uh, and things like that. But the fact that even though like there might be people not, large majority of people just think it's some kind of gimmick, the fact that he still did it go against all their rules. But he doesn't really care, and he feels like they should, be out, in the world, like not cower in the showers, just be amongst the people. And that's like just because he never, because even though he's a vampire, he just doesn't like the idea of just be creeping in the shadows. He's like, I want to be among the people. If I, feed, I feed, but it's like he's not like malicious or anything like that. He's just like, I just want to be able to live like I used to live. So in a way, you kind of understand, like if you've been in quarantine, like the lockdown period, you missed, because like as he points out, living living eternity as a vampire can be very lonely, and like he starved for interaction with people. And being in lockdown, you understand the fact that we just remember how happy you was when you finally get to see other people that's not your family inside your house, just to have that normal interaction, and just like that thing. That's how you can see like parallels to that. But then we meet this female lead, Jessie, who works for this kind of paranormal agency, like this paranormal studies group, which is like paranormal studies, and it's like, well, study what? It's like you just archive supernatural beings, and not like, because it'll make more sense in a way if y'all are also just part of this supernatural hunters. Yeah, because they can jot down different creatures that they hunt or something. But you're just just glorified librarians. And also, like, here's my biggest gripe of the film. If I had to, pick two things, one is these paranormal studies people. Like, what's the point of these guys if all you do is just study them? You don't do anything to stop them, like, like Blade or anything like that. No, you just like, archive them like a fucking Professor Oak. But then also, you got this female lead, Jessie, who's a part of this group, and just become, for some reason, infatuated by Lestat. I guess by his singing or something. I don't know. It's never really specified as why she feels so close to him. I mean, in like that Dracula TV show, you understand why Dracula and Mina so close, because she is a reincarnation of his past love, and they just naturally feel drawn to each other. You understand. You don't understand why this woman just, for some reason, is drawn to this guy. Why do you love him so much? Why? And she, wants to be with him so bad. She wants him to turn her. And it's like, why? Why do you feel like you need to do that? Make that make sense to me, so I can buy it. You just want it. It is, I don't care for that. That seems, there's plot holes and there's plot pits, and that was like a plot pit. So one of the leaders, David, hands her this book, this journal of Lestat that he acquired some time ago. That Lestat, details how he was turned by Marius and the rules that he was told by them, and being taught the ways of living as a vampire. And I like to think that's because I don't know, I gotta check with Interviewing a Vampire when I review that, because I don't remember, because probably in the Anne Rice books, but in that movie, Lestat has is like the mentor for Brad Pitt's character. But we do meet, because Antonio Banderas, I think, was is the one who made Lestat in that movie. But I can't remember if his name was Marius in that, because all these characters come from the same stuff. Let me take a quick look. No, his name was Armand. Huh. Uh, mm, sorry, I'm just like. Well, and then they kind of play in the movies. They kind of play around with who's sired who. But in Queen of the Dam, Marius made Lestat and told him what he needed to know. Um, so the one thing they disagreed on is the fact that Lestat wants to be among the people, and Marius tells him that is against the rules. And he just, he's a very flippant kind of guy. He just like, screw the rules. And he sees this lady and his man, playing, musical instruments by a campfire. And he grabs a violin nearby and starts playing along with them. And he got, so in the zone that he starts, using his vampire speed and really stringing the violin, and his vampire eyes is like starting to reveal themselves, and they freak out. So they have to kill these two before they go tell anybody, get away and tell anybody. One of the hard lessons he has to learn about, this is why we cannot reveal ourselves, because that puts our kind in danger. We have to have like a shaky balance here. Then Lestat discovers in Marius's castle, underneath it, there's this hidden chamber where these two statues of the first vampire king and queen, and they're in like a slumber. And the queen Akasha, who's like a who comes from like ancient Egypt. Let me give you like a good. She's queen of Kemet, of Egypt, circa 5000 BC, and her husband at the time, Enkel, there was an assassination attempt on them. This evil spirit named Amel enters dying Akasha's body, making her the first vampire. Then she turns her husband. They were human ones, but they was turned into the first vampires. Then they became living statues. So, Marius was charged with watching over these guys, but I guess her spirit still inside the statues, living statue here. For some reason, but not the guy. I don't know why the guy never like reach out or did anything, but the queen is just like enticed by the music Lestat is playing. It's almost like they treat him like a siren. Everybody answers to his call. And then she moves her hand upright, and you see like there's veins showing in the palm, so that way he can still drink from it. And so he drinks from it and get a taste of her power. But it's like, okay, are you stoned or are you not? I guess you can say like, well, it's supernatural. You can play fast and loose with like certain magical stuff, but I guess you can let it slide because it is a supernatural type of film, so you can get away with certain things like that. So, he passes out. Yeah, I guess from the ecstasy of the blood he was drinking. He wakes up with Marius tying him to the bed and explains to him about Akasha. Then the next night, he, completely cleans out his entire place. He Lestat realize he's uncuffed. And then he sees like the statues are gone. And now Lestat is just on his own. I guess, Marius is like, I pretty much like, no, you're not listening to me. So it's like, do what you want at this point. But I can't trust you. So for a long while, he just, hasn't heard from Marius. And so that's where we fast forward to the present day. So Jessie is on this mission to try to find Lestat. She goes to this vampire nightclub in London after there's some research about Lestat's old haunting grounds, which would have been around this general area, which turns out to be like just happens to be a good focal point for a vampire to hangout spot. So Lestat ends up saving her from vampires that's trying to attack her. And then, after failing trying to get close to him, saying like, hey, I know you, like, I did my research on you and all this other stuff. And you get a little bit of Jessie's backstory. She was a little kid and she has this aunt that was helping raise her, but she had to go, leaving her behind as a child. I don't get that, because yeah, her parents, died, and she was taking charge, and she turned out to be a vampire. So I guess she was trying to protect her, keeping her from this kind of life. But then she ends up working somehow for this paranormal studies people. Don't know what even that entails and pays. It's like, at the very least, it would make sense if maybe this is like a subsection agency connected to MI6 or something that handled the occult or something like that. Like, you gotta make it make sense. Like, what use are you guys? Then she goes to Los Angeles, try to meet up with Lestat, where she convinces, because earlier in the film the manager, and it's always been a thing, but after the whole Me Too era and things going on with like celebrities getting in trouble for past flings, now turning into like, oh, it's like I was, instead of being charmed, I was manipulated, that kind of crap. This is kind of stuff like I imagine like celebrities have to deal with in their rise in fame, having girls being like, not thrown at them, but like groupies. Like, groupies are a thing, and they want to hook up with the famous star. It has always been a thing. Now it's like, a lot of celebrities probably like very weary of that. Not like they always on creepy crap, but I'm just saying, like, of legal age groupies who want to have a night with the rock star, and it's like, they have status and fame and talent, and more often than not, sex appeal, and that's very intoxicating. And like, why wouldn't you expect anything else? Like, they're not groupies because they want to shout philosophy with the rock star, and like they already like want to hook up, and like, the rock star will be more than happy to oblige more than often than not. So you see earlier in the film that these two groupies that the manager gets to meet up with Lestat, and of course they thought he was still like in this whole like, oh, like I'm playing vampire or whatever like that, but then see him actually like, scaling the walls and pouncing on top of them and feeding off of them. So then here he's doing that again, but one of them is, actually like a legit groupie. Then Lestat sees like the other one is actually Jesse. Is like, this girl again. So the manager takes the other girl out. So Lestat and Jesse has a one-on-one talk. She's just there, so like, hey, I want to give you your journal back because I know you haven't seen this in a while. And so she tells him like, I want to be like you. I want to understand what it's like to be like you. And I still don't understand what was her motivation behind all that. But then he, eventually shows her what it's like to, live a life as a vampire. He sees her feeding off of an innocent person, and it's like, do you still want to be like this? This is the life. You have to feed off of people. I mean, like, you don't necessarily have to feed off people. You can feed off of animals, and I'm pretty sure maybe the blood ain't as good as a human's, but it still does the job. So it's like, you don't really need to feed off a human, but I digress. But he tries to show her that this isn't something that you want, and he gets a little infatuated with her, and he's like telling her like, you are a decent person. I don't want to turn you. Is your he likes her humanity, and it's like, I'm not gonna turn you into what I am. No. And so, but she's still like, do every she can to track him down. It's like, wow, this girl is like, obsessed. It's definitely obsession to the way. Maybe not to, well, I argue it is probably dangerous because you thirsty to get turned into a vampire, but she's just that infatuated with this dude. But they go to this is the first time this, and despite meeting up with Marius after all these years and him warning Lestat, like, hey, the statues, Akasha is gone. She, I guess because of, I don't know, it's never specified like why now that after so many years of Lestat doing like this whole music career that she finally now showing up. I guess it had to build over time. But she awakens, and then cool visual, honestly, of the statue of the king, of the statue, because it's like standing like this, but then now it's his head cocked and his, you know, throat is completely ripped out, and that's the statue what it looks like right now. And it's like cool visual. I don't even care how that's supposed to make sense. I like that, you know, looks so much, and it shows like this chick is, you know, brutal. Because technically she will be the first vampire, and she turned her king, making him the second vampire in existence. And she killed him, seeing Lestat as her true king. Never understand why, because he can sing. What makes him worthy of usurping your previous king? That I kind of wish was a little bit more explained. But she goes to the vampire. I don't know how she started trying to track him down. It's not like she got a scent or anything like that. But she went to the vampire club, and it's like, honestly, it's one of the most iconic scenes in the films. Like, I will always remember it. I think everybody will remember that. If they think of Queen of the Damned, this the one particular scene that always sticks out above all else. And just Aaliyah just strutting her stuff, just that swagger she has, and just, oh my god, one of the best looking vampires in all of, like, you know, vampire type monster films. It's like Blade, her, Celine in Underworld movie, which, by the way, next year I'm definitely going to cover the Underworld films. Correct. And then, like, there's at least a couple of Dracula, like, you know, actors. Like, well, there's one, you know, Castlevania Dracula on Netflix. Then you got, in my personal opinion, John Rhys Meyers Dracula from the TV show. But then you got Luke Evans in Dracula Untold. All those probably like the best vampires, in my opinion, in fictional history. Oh, and then of course Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise in Interview with the Vampire. Those, like, all those probably like the best vampires in fictional history, that, in my opinion, that, like, I really love the look of all those vampires. Leave a comment below. Let me know, like, you know, really quick, like, you know, what's like the best looking vampires in fictional history that you honestly say is up there in the upper echelon of vampires. Anyway, so she ends up, after she finds out that these other vampires are planning on killing Lestat from outing what they are, she decides to just, you see like the raw power she has. She rips out the heart of one of the vampires and eats like a freaking apple, and then starts torching. You know, I don't know what power she's building. She just like flips her hand and starts torching all the vampires and burns down the entire club. So other vampires decide to attack Lestat at the Death Valley, you know, concert. And so when they started attacking on the stage, which everybody thinking is like a part of the show, Lestat and Marius starts, you know, fending them off until Akasha shows up, torches all of them, and then takes Lestat and flies him away. And then they end up at I don't know what home that she found somewhere by the beach, and it's probably maybe like a Colombian drug dealer or something, because the way it looks. And that kind of house there, like a Colombian drug dealer probably will own. And they proceed to have sex, and because the power that he gets from her, now Lestat is resistant to sunlight. Maybe further exposure and the blood he gets from Akasha will eventually make that permanent, but of course that won't be the case. But the next day, Lestat is looking, out by the balcony. He sees all these dead corpses of people, right by the pool and by the beach. And Lestat is just like, oh my freaking God. And Akasha says, like, you'll be my new king. That we can rule together, because she is like because Akasha's worldview is kind of like a perverted version of what Lestat wants. Lestat wants to be out in the open, but living amongst people, because he doesn't want to hide in the shadows. This is all he wants in a sense, and just be himself. Akasha wants to rule. And it's like, yeah, she doesn't want to hide in the shadows either, but she just wants to take over and sees people as cattle. It's kind of like Deacon Frost and Blade. It's like these people are food, and it's it's like, dude, I don't want to be king of corpses. But she has like a influence on him. It's like he's in some kind of like entranced or like at least mystified by her. Jessie ends up getting taken away, and she ends up meeting her aunt after all these years. And she and other vampire leaders have been, including Marius, have been charged of maintaining the balance, I guess, and looking after the king and queen of their kind. But it is never confirmed whether or not it's true. But it's said that if the queen and king both die, then all vampires will automatically die, because they were the progenitors, and anything that came after them will start a ripple effect. But since Lestat is technically the king now, now they trying to it's like they Lestat and Akasha shows up. These vampire heads is like letting them know, like, I will not side with you. No, we're maintaining the balance. But still in her thrall, Akasha tells Lestat, okay, the first thing, kingly duty that I want you to do is kill this human girl. On top of the fact that she's just human and cattle to her, she also knows that she's infatuated with him, so she want to take her off the playing field. Lestat, drains her of blood. She doesn't fight back at all. But because, it's never explained how or why, but it's just because after he drinks of her blood, it breaks him out of, Akasha's trance. So he plays along and starts drinking of her blood and tries to completely drain her. because a vampire would die if they're completely drained of their blood. But you run the risk of dying yourself if you don't just leave a few drops of blood in the body and not take it all. So all the vampires start attacking Akasa and starts feeding off her. A few of them die, but Mara, Jesse's aunt, decides like, okay, I'm gonna sacrifice myself, drink the last drop of her blood, so I'll become the new queen of the damned, so that way our line won't completely be gone. So she ends up turned to stone, and to save Jesse's life, Lestat gives her his blood. She got her wish. She's a vampire now. Last bit of the movie, Jesse and Lestat shows up at David's office to give him back the Lestat's journal that he gave to her. She wanted to say her goodbyes. She tried to give him a hug. He kind of recoils. Like, she understands, like, yeah, like he probably will be afraid of me, which she feels bad, but she understands. So she said goodbyes. Her and Lestat leave. Then Marius walks in behind them. And I don't know why it cracks me up the way this line is delivered, where it's like, because I don't know what is the relationship with Marius and David, because I understand that David has been tracking down Marius for a long time because he had like a whole bunch of old paintings of certain moments in history where Marius is shown in each one in some point in the picture or the canvas. So maybe because you can hint that he's gonna probably turn or kill David, but it's just like he's almost like playing with them, because you see it was on one time during the concert scene, and he's just like, hello David, and he just messes with him because it's not really it's not a moment, it's not that moment yet because he's busy with something else more important. But then it's kind of like with like in Blade 2 with Blade showing up with that skeevy thug earlier in the film where he let go, and it's like, oh, you didn't think I forgot about you, did I? It's kind of like that, where he just walks on in from off screen, you just hear his voice like, hello David. And I don't know why, that always cracks me up. I don't know why, it's just the line delivery, and it's like, yeah, like this dude's done. But yeah, and that's in the movie with Lestat and Jesse just walking in a night sky amongst the humans. It's still a good movie. It did decently well in the box office back in 2002 when this was released. I think this will be Aaliyah's last film, because she the production ended before she died during the plane crash during like 9/11. So this would have been her last performance. I'm glad she managed to at least finish this, because she was a very talented actress and singer, and beauty on top of it. I argue she was better than Beyonce by leaps and bounds, honestly, because as talented as Beyonce is, she can't act worth for shit. But Aaliyah, I'm pretty sure she lacked in some areas we don't know about, but she was not only a talented singer, but she was a phenomenal actress. A lot of people love her in anything that she was in. And she was in like the movie. She was in the Romeo Must Die with Jet Li. and it was almost kind of like a martial arts version of Romeo and Juliet in a way. And honestly, a lot of people back in the day, I remember vividly. It's like, and I agree. It's like I honestly could have seen, Jet Li and Aaliyah actually would have been a good couple for each other. Honestly, I don't know, because like honestly, when I've seen that movie, matter of fact, I think I should do that review for February for like Black History / Valentine's Day month with Romeo Must Die, because the chemistry between those two actors were very, very good. But anyway, yeah, I mean, my biggest grievance with this movie is just with Jessie and this organization that she worked with. And it's like, what was your purpose at all? And I guess a more nitpicky kind of thing is the stone statues. It's like, okay, how are they affected being supposed to be, yeah, sure, they're living statues because they still, they're there, but they're not there, if that makes any sense. So how, they still get, how does Lestat still bite her stone hand and still have like, blood circulating, you see in veins and stuff like that, or having that stone of the king's throat ripped out, but still stone. It's like, that's more of a nitpick kind of thing. Also, why is she so infatuated? Why these, Akasha and Jessie so infatuated with Lestat? Is it because of the singing? Is it like a siren kind of song? Why? It's never fully explained what is about this guy that they're so drawn to him. I think those are really like my biggest concerns of the film. But outside of that, this is pretty good. Like I said, I was about to go over like how well it did. It's like it had a budget of 35 million in the box office. I mean, 35 million budget, but right then at the box office, 45.4 million. So it did pretty well around 2002, at least 2002 standards. Like I said, it's like I love the soundtrack. This is like, it felt like a long music video in a way, in a good way. So yeah, highly recommend, man. But definitely check out the soundtrack. This is really, really good music. Like I said, I'm not a huge, rock star or rock band type of dude. There's, a few things that I actually dig in that kind of genre, but not like an avid, listener. But man, highly recommend you checking out the soundtrack. But I will see you guys in a few minutes for my comic book review of Zatanna, DC Comics Zatanna, the Mistress of Magic herself. So like and subscribe, hit that notification bell if you're watching this on YouTube, share this with your friends, and I will see you guys in a little bit. Peace.